Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, my name's Amanda, aka Fit Food AE, and I make videos on nutrition, fitness, recipes, and the like. In today's video, we're going to be going over the kitchen staples that you need for macro-friendly cooking and baking, aka all the ingredients that you need to buy to make the high-protein, low-calorie recipes that I post. So if you're excited to hear the best way to fully stock your pantry and fridge, please give this video a like and subscribe and share it with your friends. And let's get started. So first we're going to start with the dry ingredients and we're going to go through the seasonings. Now these are subjective depending on whether or not you eat meat, which I don't, but really the only spices that I generally use to make my recipes are salt, garlic powder, and cinnamon. Some of the seasonal recipes are going to call for like ginger or nutmeg, but you can get away without it most of the time. Rather than spending lots of money on a full spice rack, you can typically just get away with using the basics depending on your preferences. I would highly recommend going to a bulk food store, such as Bulk Barn in Canada, in order to get your spices, rather than buying those like glass shakers, because that gets expensive and really adds up. So next we're going to talk about the leaveners, which include baking powder and baking soda. So these both help baked goods to rise, but the difference is that baking soda requires an acid and a liquid to activate, whereas baking powder only requires a liquid. They typically can't be substituted for each other, at least like not very well, so it's best to just have both of them on hand. Now next we're going to talk about flour. So I always have all-purpose flour, oat flour, and coconut flour on hand. All-purpose flour is the one that I use most of the time, hence the name all-purpose. Many people might not know this, but all-purpose flour actually has a 4:1 ratio with coconut flour. So for example, 40 grams of all-purpose flour equals 10 grams of coconut flour. In many cases, they can't be used interchangeably. In some, they can, but the recipe just won't turn out the same. Like it's going to be more dense, not as moist. So what I typically do is use all-purpose flour in conjunction with coconut flour, since coconut flour is lower in calories, so it keeps the calories of the recipes lower overall. So I like to buy oat flour in order to use in my baked oats. Another thing that you can do is just buy quick oats and then grind them up into a flour if you have a blender. But for me, I personally just buy quick oats for my oatmeal and then oat flour for my baked oats because I just don't have a blender lying around and I'm too lazy. So next we're going to talk about protein powder. As you guys know, I love my PE Science Whey Casein Blend protein powder. It comes in so many different flavors and it works so well in baking. You can use my code FIT15 for 15% off, of course. My favorite flavors personally to have on hand are either cake pop or vanilla, and then frosted chocolate cupcake. If you're only going to buy one, I would personally recommend to buy either cake pop or vanilla, because this one is the most versatile for baking and recipes, but also tastes really, really great in protein oatmeal. I personally don't drink protein shakes, but I heard that those flavors are really great in protein shakes as well. I haven't tried their vegan line of protein powders personally, but I've heard from several friends that they taste really, really good and they work really well in protein oatmeal. Now, don't get me wrong, a lot of their other flavors, like the strawberry cheesecake one, the peanut butter one, or even the mint chocolate chip one are really, really good. But if you're, trying to spend less money on supplements, then I would just recommend buying something that's a bit more versatile. So next, let's talk about sweeteners. As you guys know, I swear by Lakanto's line of monk fruit sweeteners. So they're basically 0-calorie, 1-to-1 substitutes with sugar. I personally like to use the classic monk fruit, the brown monk fruit, and then the powdered sugar substitute. These are great to use in baking in order to keep the calories low while still maintaining the same or similar taste. And you could use my code FIT15 for 15% off. Lakanto also has a powdered peanut butter in their line of products, and I swear by this, it's great to use for rice cakes, in baked oats, skillet cookies. The possibilities are endless. I honestly like powdered peanut butter better than like the natural peanut butter, because to me it just tastes sweeter and it's more versatile, and it's so much lower in calories, and if you mix it with protein powder, it's really high in protein as well. I know I might get a bit of hate for that though. I personally like to take 15 grams of powdered peanut butter mixed with 10 grams of protein powder, mix it with a bit of water, and then put it on caramel rice cakes. Another product I really like to buy for baking are the Jell-O sugar-free, fat-free vanilla and chocolate pudding mixes. I use these in some of my skillet cookies as well as some of my frostings, and they're really, really good and versatile. Unsweetened cocoa powder is a must to have on hand. It's great for brownies and really any chocolate recipe that you're gonna make. I have one on my Amazon store. It's by Hershey's, and that one is really low in calories. A few like fun staples that I like to have on hand for baking include Oreo baking crumbs, graham cracker crumbs, and sprinkles. I use these in a lot of my recipes like dips, donuts, baked oats, for example. They'll make the baked goods have like a really cool texture, or sometimes they'll help with the presentation. For example, if you look at my Instagram, you'll see like the s'mores dip, s'mores baked oats, funfetti dip, like those kind of recipes. Okay, so now we're down to the last few dry ingredients. Mini chocolate chips are a must-have. I personally prefer the mini ones over the regular ones because the flavor is more spread out and you get more of them, if that makes sense. If you can find mini white chocolate chips and mini peanut butter chips, I know you can find them in Bulk Barn in Canada. Those are so good. But if you can't find those, I would say the chocolate chips are a staple. Mini Reese's Pieces and mini M&Ms are also really fun to have for baking. Now moving on to the wet ingredients. These ones aren't really going to be categorized. I'm just going to kind of name them one by one. So the first obvious staple that many of you know is non-fat Greek yogurt. I use it in so many of my recipes like baked oats, protein pizza, protein brownies, etc. Basically, it's used to substitute for a fat like oil or buttermilk in baking, and I also use it in a lot of my protein frostings as well. Another couple recipes that are great to have on hand include unsweetened applesauce and pure pumpkin, which can be used as substitutes for butter in baking. Although there are some recipes like with protein cookies where you're not going to want to substitute applesauce and you're going to want to actually use butter. So what I recommend is buying like a light butter or margarine to keep the calories lower. Baking spray is also a staple that you're going to need. A lot of them say they're 0 calories. I don't actually think they are, just because it is oil, but I personally just don't track it because
life is too short.
When a recipe calls for milk, I like to use unsweetened almond milk because it's lower in calories, and for some reason, even though I eat dairy, I just don't like using regular milk. I don't know why. But you can really just use any plant-based milk that you want, or even regular skim milk. Of course, eggs and egg whites are an absolute must to have for many of my recipes, like protein cakes or protein pizzas. A lot of the times they can't be used interchangeably, so I would just recommend having both of them on hand. There are a ton of different artificial extracts out there, but really the only one I would recommend having on hand is vanilla extract. It really enhances the flavor of a lot of my sweet recipes without adding extra calories. Or at least I don't think it has calories. If it does, it's like super minimal and I don't track it. So in terms of cream cheese, I really like to buy the Philadelphia reduced fat cream cheese, which is great for fillings and protein frostings. I find that buying the reduced fat one rather than the fat-free one, it doesn't sacrifice any of the taste while still keeping the calories low, but the fat-free one is like kind of gross. I don't know. So I don't really know if this is considered like a wet ingredient or dry ingredient, but anyway, light shredded mozzarella cheese. It's super versatile and it's great to use in a lot of my recipes like the protein pizza or the spinach and artichoke dip. Instead of buying like a whole bunch of cheeses, I would just recommend buying this one. In the US, they have fat-free shredded mozzarella cheese, so if you can find that, buy that. But in Canada, I've personally never found it. So lastly, we'll go over the condiments. Sugar-free maple syrup, or even the calorie-free one by Walden Farms, is great to use on pancakes and French toast while keeping the calories low. On the savory side, I like to keep things simple with 3 condiments: sugar-free ketchup, mustard, and sugar-free barbecue sauce. You guys know I love the G Hughes sugar-free barbecue sauce. They make a sugar-free ketchup as well, or you can just buy the Heinz one, And then for mustard, I just buy Heinz. There's no use wasting calories on condiments when there are so many great tasting sugar-free options out there. So that's it for my macro-friendly kitchen staples. I'm gonna include a grocery list in the description so you can use it next time you go to the grocery store. Of course, this isn't an exhaustive list of everything that you're gonna need to make all the macro-friendly recipes available out there, but this covers most of the basics / staples, and if you have these on hand, you won't have to buy too many extra items. I'm curious, comment below if you think that I missed anything. Once you buy these ingredients, check out the 2 videos that are gonna pop up on the screen for recipes that you can make using the ingredients. If you thought this video was helpful, please give it a like, subscribe, and share it with your friends. And I will catch you guys next week. Thanks for watching. Bye.